The silent tension in the airport security line shattered when Officer Rick Stone's face twisted into contempt. He had been harassing Layla Carter, a beautiful woman with a medium brown complexion, for 10 excruciating minutes. "Where's your supervisor, lady? Or are you just one of those who thinks the rules don't apply to you people?" He saw only a target, not a 25-year-old on a mission. What he didn't expect was the one call she was about to make, a call that would shift the power dynamic of the entire terminal in an instant. The only sound was the clicking of his badge as he stepped closer to her open luggage. The midday sun streamed through the glass ceiling of the Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport, illuminating the security area where Layla Carter, a stunning 25-year-old woman with a determined gaze, stood frozen. She had been pulled aside for a secondary security check, and the officer in charge, Rick Stone, was making it a public spectacle. He sneered, pointing at her half-unzipped roller suitcase. "Open it. All the way. Let's see what important work takes a woman like you to D.C." Layla, medium brown-skinned and impeccably dressed, tried to maintain her composure. "Officer, I have all the documentation you asked for. I am on an urgent assignment for a federal agency. I need to get to my flight." Rick just laughed, a sharp, insulting sound that drew the first curious eyes from the gate. He leaned in close, his voice a low, venomous whisper, "Save the fancy talk. We all know who belongs here, and who doesn't. Now, open the bag, or I'll open it for you." Layla quietly knelt and unzipped the suitcase, revealing a neatly packed space dominated not by clothes, but by thick legal binders and a single, faded leather-bound notebook. Officer Stone immediately ripped one binder out, letting the contents spill onto the clean airport floor. "What is this? Budget proposals? Counterterrorism strategy? Trying to be a hotshot lawyer?" Layla didn't respond, her silence only fueling his aggression. Her eyes were fixed on the notebook, a gift from her late grandfather, filled with his old handwritten notes on civil rights law. It was her most cherished possession, the core of her career. Rick saw her focus and a cruel smirk spread across his face. He deliberately placed his boot on the open suitcase, pinning down the precious notebook. Then, in a moment of sheer, racist contempt, he stomped the heel of his heavy tactical boot down hard on the luggage, crushing the corner of the leather notebook and causing Layla to gasp. The force of the kick was a clear message of humiliation. Surrounded by indifferent travelers and subordinates who looked away, Layla felt a sudden, suffocating isolation. What would you do if your dignity was publicly crushed like this? She slowly reached for her phone, her hands trembling not from fear, but from a burning, controlled rage. Rick Stone straightened up, crossing his arms, a look of smug victory on his face. "Save yourself the trouble. Calling your mama or your boyfriend isn't going to help. You people always try to pull the victim card." Layla ignored the crushing insult, her gaze unwavering as she dialed a private number. The call connected instantly. "Mr. Thompson, I apologize for the interruption," Layla said calmly, her voice echoing the power of her profession, a stark contrast to her trembling posture. "This is Layla Carter. I'm currently at Sky Harbor, Gate C-12, and I have just been detained by Officer Rick Stone. He has damaged federal documents and interfered with an interagency operation. I need you to contact Chief Peterson immediately." The mention of Layla Carter and federal documents visibly froze Rick Stone. He had heard the name before, a whisper of someone high up. But he quickly dismissed it, his pride outweighing his caution. "That's a nice little performance, honey. Throwing around names won't stop me from writing you up for resisting an officer." He stepped forward to grab her phone. Just as his fingers grazed the screen, a chilling, authoritative voice boomed over the airport radio system. "Attention, all units to Gate C-12. Chief Peterson is en route. Priority 1 call from the U.S. Attorney General's office." Officer Stone's face went white. He knew the U.S. Attorney General's office meant the Justice Department, federal authority. He looked back at Layla, who now stood tall, the tears of shame replaced by an icy, powerful calm. "That's my office, officer," she said softly, but the words hit him like a physical blow. The bottom had just fallen out of his world. Seconds later, Chief Peterson, a stern man in a crisp uniform, sprinted into the area. His eyes immediately locked onto the pale, sweating Officer Stone, and then dropped to the crushed luggage and Layla. He didn't need an explanation. The airport radio crackled again with the voice of the U.S. Attorney General's top aide. "This is a direct order. Officer Rick Stone is to be immediately detained for obstruction of justice and abuse of power. Special Counsel Carter has full authority to proceed." Rick Stone's world imploded. He stammered, "Chief, I didn't know who she was." Layla didn't let the moment of total victory become one of cruelty. She looked directly at Rick, her voice carrying the full weight of her legal training. "That is precisely the point, officer. My identity should not determine your respect for my dignity." As two uniformed officers quietly escorted Stone away, the crowd, once indifferent, parted for Layla. She calmly bent down to pick up her damaged notebook, dusting off the tiny flecks of dirt. She turned, not to the chief offering a frantic apology, but back toward the security checkpoint, a quiet resolve in her eyes. The path to justice is rarely easy, but Layla knew that every piece of injustice, however small, deserved to be confronted with the full force of truth. That damaged notebook, now a symbol of her fight, was going to D.C. with her.